Check, check, 1, 2. Check, check, 1, 2. Yeah, test. There you go. Yeah. You have to go over a little. Seriously, I would. Just don't tell me that.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome to the Deputy Chancellor Provost Candidate Forum. My name is Aaron Brown, Vice Chancellor of Business and Financial Services, also Chair of the Search Committee and today's facilitator. As part of our districts-wide search process, each of our district colleges is hosting an open forum with the 3 finalists for this important leadership position. These forums are being live streamed so that those who cannot attend have the opportunity to see and hear directly from the candidates. After an extensive national search process that was facilitated by the Association of Community College Trustees, the RCCD Search Committee carefully screened 40 applicants, conducted interviews, and then selected the 3 finalists for you to meet. In addition to these forums, the finalists will be meeting with constituency group leaders and their teams and the Chancellor's Cabinet to ensure a broad, inclusive process that reflects the voices of our entire district. Your participation today is essential as the Chancellor will be reviewing the feedback that he gets from you and considers the perspectives of our community in making this critical leadership decision. So thank you for being here and for actively engaging in this process. And with that, I'll turn it over to Graciela.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor Brown. How's everybody doing today? That's a really great response. I like it. Well, we want to thank you all so much for making time out of your busy schedules and being here today. Before we formally welcome our candidate to Riverside City College, let me take a minute to review the ground rules for the public forum this afternoon. So we will ask the candidate to provide brief opening remarks, about 3 to 4 minutes. We do have some general questions that we have been prepared just to facilitate the conversation while we have those index cards coming up. If you would like to ask the candidate a question, please write your question on the note card and Jonica Escobar will come around and we'll pick that up from you. Just make sure you raise it a little high so we can make sure that we get those cards from you. And then roughly about 5 to 10 minutes before we end the session, we'll ask the candidate to provide brief closing remarks. When you entered the room, you also received a bio that has the candidate's information, and on the other side, it has a public forum comment card. Please make sure that you are providing some feedback. And then ensure that you hand it over to Jonica or to one of us before you leave the room today. Unfortunately, we're unable to accept these forms after the forum has ended. Please know the importance of these forms. We are collecting this feedback and this information as we will place it in a sealed envelope for the Chancellor so that he can consider all of your comments in the deliberations. And with that, I will go ahead and invite Vice Chancellor Brown back up so that he can introduce our candidate. Thank you.
Thank you, Graciela. So Dr. Zhou is a UC Davis Wheelhouse Fellow and holds a PhD from the University of Texas at Austin. He brings extensive leadership experience across California community colleges, including roles as Dean, Vice President, and President in diverse regions. Dr. Zhou is known for fostering equity-minded, data-informed environments and has led colleges to national recognition for growth, innovation, and student success. His collaborative approach has secured millions in grants, expanded access to underserved communities, and supported statewide initiatives in accreditation, strategic planning, and guided pathways implementation. With that, Dr. Zhou, all yours.
Thank you, Vice President Brown. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. So good to see everybody on Thursday afternoon for sure. And I was just at Norco College. We were in a cozy and the nice room. This is feeling like that room zoomed out. Actually, we have a lot of open space. I don't know if that tells the size difference of the colleges. Of course, I know RCC is twice as big as Norco College for sure. So good to see everybody. So I'm Zhou, and feel free to just call me Wei, please. Just I came from highway before you use freeway, so very easy to remember for sure. And I'm really thrilled to be considered for your next Deputy Chancellor, Provost. And that's a big job, of course, Deputy Chancellor, so comprehensive, such a big job. And also the title of Provost, as us working in academia, always think about Provost as something that actually is the academic leader of an organization. I always thought that you would need to first win a Nobel Prize before you can even become a Provost. And I come from academic background, of course, and I'm a geneticist. If you look at my academic lineage in 4 lines, it does link to a Nobel Prize winner, Dr. Thomas Morgan. If you don't know who he is, one of the best geneticists in the world, of course. You can Google him for sure if you want to know more about him. But of course, today I'm nowhere near to be winning a Nobel Prize because that's not been my passion. My passion right now, I found, is really to help our students, to support our faculty, classified professionals, and administrators, to serve our students. And this is why I look at this opportunity is so great, because RCC, with almost 110 years of service in the communities, looking at serving one of the most popular, diverse, and actually one of the most lowest socioeconomic population that we're working with one of the lowest educational college degree attainment rates compared to the rest of the state and rest of the nation. And RCC has done a great job. Like I said, for almost 110 years. And our community responded, telling us, hey, you guys have been doing a good job. We are sending students to you, to RCC. We're supporting you through funding, through bonds, through partnerships. And even you see Riverside right next door is helping us together to help support our students struggling with housing challenges. There are a lot of things that's great for us to look into, and a lot of achievements that RCC have already accomplished. So it's a great honor to be even standing here talking to you and saying great things, because it's really something that I've been always looking into. Being especially have worked at 2 different districts inside Inland Empire, which accompanies basically Riverside County and San Bernardino County for sure. And also I care very much about what RCC has accomplished, because that's where my passion lies now. Oh, it's been for a while. I don't want to say just feels like actually it started today. It's been for a while. It started when I was a researcher, when I was a teacher, when I was focusing on areas of academic excellence, college access, student success, closing equity gaps, when I was looking at those focus, guide me through as a researcher and practitioner. And when I look at what RCC does and what I'm passionate about, I think we've got a good match. And I'm passionate about this population because that's actually what might bring up also. If you think about me, myself as a person of color, speak English as second language, and if there's any accent, I can bring the mic today. And myself, a first generation college student from lower income family. That's what we saw. What could get us for our social and economic mobility? What could get us to those profitable employment opportunities, economic opportunities, education? That's what it takes. I benefited, some of my friends benefited. We all want to come back to say, how can we help folks like us, other folks coming like us, struggling with whether it's a language difficulty, they're actually socioeconomic backgrounds, or actually coming from areas that actually, by the way, always people talking about first generation college students. Myself is first generation high school graduate, by the way. My parents didn't even graduate from high school, not to mention my grandparents. So that's going too far. So think about how can we help folks like me, like my friends, to get to where they need to be. That's what I care about the most. And that's why I see RCC has been doing a great job. That's why I want to come to help RCC. And also to help RCC, the overall as a district, to better support our students. That's through better supporting all faculty, classified professional administrators. And I bring a very comprehensive background to be able to fit in this responsibility, of course. And I think this statement is already proven by our first level search committee members, of course. That's why they sent me to today and be at this stage here. Without going everything about my own background, you've seen my bio. I just want to mention some of things that I think matters very much for this responsibility, this opportunity. I actually have a very broad, comprehensive experience being in a classroom, being supporting in a classroom, having been dean and vice president and president. So that at different levels, I know when I was in those positions, how I can make contributions to student learning and success, and how I would like to have support from other folks, whether it's leadership or management or the institution overall, to support me in my position to be more functional, to be more helpful for our students. And also from my own experience, I've had quite extensive experience working in multi-college districts within the California community college system. That would be, I say, 90% of my career that's in that kind of environment. So this is important to mention also, looking at RCC has such a big, giant, complex multi-college district that we're working with. And colleges I work at, just like RCC and the other two colleges, Norco and Moreno Valley, we saw very diverse student population. All my institutions, colleges I work at are Hispanic serving institutions. All my colleges have had a MOJA program supporting Black African-American students. So my colleges are also Asian American, Pacific Islander, and Native American serving institutions as well, just to give you some perspective. And also beyond the college level, I think when I look at this opportunity, I want to relate to my recent experience also working with the State Chancellor's Office through their institutional effectiveness initiative. That is to take teams to help different institutions while we are not working on day-to-day for the colleges, but work with the college leadership, constituent leaderships, finding ways, finding areas that we can make some improvement to better serve the students, and taking actions and setting up goals and looking at outcomes assessment for us to get to where we need to be. Like I mentioned, I'm not at those colleges working from day to day, but I'm there to help the institutions through their leadership, administration, and also constituent leaderships, so that together we can find ways to better support our students. And that I see to some degree is what the Deputy Chancellor and Provost will be doing also. I'm not working for actually on day-to-day basis, RCC or Norco or Moreno Valley, but it's important that you find a way to support all of you to better do your jobs, because this Deputy Chancellor Provost job is looking at enhancing, improving communication, enhancing, improving collaborations amongst all the entities, all the three colleges, and also including the district office. This job is also to provide guidance and support to make sure people are, we also want to always want to make sure we are following the rules. We know the rules and follow the rules, but also it's important, especially for me, being in this field for so many, quite a while for sure, actually. So I can provide you some advice about how can we work beyond the rules so that we can make things happen for our students, for our employees, and for our institution. Those are important things that we can look into. And I'm sure there are questions to talk about a lot of details. I'm not going to go too far here. I know as teachers, we talk all the time, so it's hard to stop sometimes, but I'll stop right here for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wei. And yes, we do have a lot of questions here. So we are going to go ahead and get started in asking the first one. So what would you do to help unite the district across all three colleges in helping strengthen all employees to work together between the different classes, classified professionals, faculty, managers, etc.?
Sure, sure. As I mentioned, I've been working within the multi-college districts, and I've had some success doing things and learned a lot of lessons also, of course. And I can tell you one thing, I don't know if you would later ask the question, is always at every college I work at, every multi-college district I work at, we talk about resource allocation model, because that's always the most actually kind of touching point. And to the degree I have developed so much expertise so that through State Chancellor's office, they even invite me to help different districts to work on developing their resource allocation models as well. But just is give you a perspective when we talk about multiple college districts, and also sometimes we shouldn't see, but we see district office as separate entity as well. So when we look at multiple entities working within one district, it's always, well, how can we work together? How can, what if we compete, and what if actually very unfriendly relationships going on? So the best way to get everybody together is through our planning process. That is, we need to have a planning process that involves everybody, being able to get everybody in the same actually space to talk about where we are today, whether it's RCC, NORCO, Moreno Valley, and district-wide, where we are today, and where we want to be as a district, as RCC, or at the other two colleges as well. Based on where we are today, based on where we want to be, that's our shared vision that we develop. Let's develop a goals to take step by step to get us there, and implement action items, implement actions to achieve our goals, allocate resources to implement our actions. If you think about it, we have a healthy strategic planning process going on, which I've seen that's happening at RCCD, by the way, a great strategic plan that's already in place. But that really gets everybody to work together towards a common goal that through our discussion dialogue, we've been buying into. That piece is critically important. Allocate resources to do what people want to do. Because that process, if you remember, when I talk about goals, it's overarching, but the action plans could be taken through different routes. RCC may be doing different things than NORCO and Moreno Valley. And even within RCC, instruction student services may be doing different things. Our business and technology may be doing different things. Even within instruction, different departments may be doing different things to contribute to our goals, step by step, to achieve our shared vision. So that's really something that can unite all of us. So allow folks to work based on their own area, department, and units. Allow folks to find ways to make contributions and find a way to support folks, whether it's through fiscal resources, professional training opportunities, find a way to support folks. And also have a transparent process where we can prioritize resources. Those are all things that's important. And also what's important underneath that big overarching process is a lot of opportunities for us to get together, to talk, to communicate, to speak, to voice up, to listen, to exchange perspectives within instruction, between instruction student services, within faculty, between faculty and classified professionals, and also administrators, students. When we get everybody to talk about things on a continuous, ongoing basis, that really help us to better understand not only what I've been doing, my department been doing, other entities, other departments, and other colleges within multi-college district is doing. And why they are taking some approaches that's not the same as ours. Let's have those kind of understanding, appreciation, instead of actually criticizing others, criticizing what the CT is doing, what the transfer discipline is doing, what student service is doing or not doing. Let's look at how can we find ways to have all of us work together better between and amongst the different constituent groups, different department units, and different colleges. Those are all things that really help us to get to where we need to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wei. You might have already answered this question, but we'll go ahead and ask. The question is, how can the district support the colleges in the implementation of their strategic plans?
Sure. That's why I say when we look at strategic planning process, I always look at that as a bottom-up and top-down process. They had to start at department level, unit area level, at each campus, each entity, where we're talking about if you consider district office is also an entity. And then we look at how together based on where we are in the department at the unit level and getting up together. What are the things, what are common themes? What are the common factors? What are common elements that we can work together to make a difference in terms of student learning and also in terms of making the lives much easier, better for our employees? Then we get an overarching district-wide vision and goals. Once we get there, all the colleges can take it down based on their institutional reality, their heritage and culture, their personality. They can take it down those. And then district-wide, once we have that kind of bottom-up and top-down structure, the district-wide, especially talking about if we mention while you're in the district office, what do? The district office really is here to support the colleges to be able to implement their actions, to strategically allocate resources, or to make connections sometimes if it's not within our existing resources. If we want to look at external partnerships, external funding opportunities, how can we find ways to support the colleges? And also talking about, especially in this position, it's finding ways for us to communicate with each other. They actually, from my own experience, it's hit and miss when I was vice president, when I was president, when I was dean, talking to actually my counterparts. Some district, it worked out pretty well. Some district may not be. And faculty to faculty also, senate president to senate president, classified senate president to classified senate president. Oftentimes, it's not a guaranteed good relationship. So how can we get those? As Deputy Chancellor Provost, part of that job is to talk with all the constituent group leaders, with the president, vice presidents, all of us, look at ways to have more communications, better communication, quality communications, and have dialogues based on data and evidence, looking at how can we make, again, our students' life and our employees' life better moving forward. What are things that we can do together? That's the best strategic planning process. And if the college is taking those actually meaningful activities, moving towards the achieved goals and through outcome assessment, we can see the college is getting where they need to be. We need to look for ways to better support, putting more resources to replicate, to scale up, or actually work with colleges if for areas not getting to where we need to be. Can we have more dialogue discussions? Can we make course adjustments, things like that? So a lot of things that we can do together. Again, district office, you think about that's a separate entity. It's here to support the colleges, because the district office by itself does not exist. As we always talk about, with all the students, we do not exist. The district office, with all the colleges, there's no district office. Thank you.
Speaking of the district office, the question asks, in the context of economics of scale, what cost should the district bear in commonly used services, supports, technology, and software?
Sure. That's a great question. Like I mentioned, all the district I work at, that's always a question. I think you did not directly ask the question was whether we should centralize or decentralize services. And if we centralize, what's the benefit? If we decentralize, what we lose? But I always think actually decentralized is very beneficial, because if you think about IT, decentralized, human resources, actually decentralized on campus, custodians, and police. I've been working at the colleges, they are quite far apart. We have police department on one location. So at one campus, it's very easy, very quickly response. But the other campus, it does take at least some time to drive there. So there are things that we can think about, talk about. But also, if you think about from another perspective, together, we have more power, talking about economy of scale. That's why statewide, if you notice, we do a lot of things together. Used to be even talking about learning management system. We use Canvas. It took us quite some effort to get us to that. But it used to be Moodle, Blackboard, WebCT. doing everything else. But when we have purchasing power, all the state 100, that many actually counting 16 colleges, but some people don't agree with that number. So we have different conversation here. So if all of us actually buying into one software, we do have a better deal. And this is what's happened not only with cameras, with a lot of other things that we talk about also. So talking about economy of scale, if we do things all together, that is the best way. And also, if you think about, if we have every college running human resources themselves, I can tell you there are issues and problems. Just talk about, we always run into at the VP and things positions, the 67% rule for the part-time faculty. If we always run just within our own rules processes, we may not even know a part-time faculty has gone beyond 67% because we don't talk to other our sister colleges while that rule is implemented as a district. And also a lot of our reporting and from fiscal side also, there are a lot of things that we're looking into. Actually centralizing, decentralizing, we can talk about that. But the most important thing for us is look at what's the best approach for us to move forward. If we are accomplishing economy of scale efficiency through centralizing, then what's the things? And basically what we'll give up is that cost benefit balanced so that we're comfortable moving forward with. Or if we are decentralizing things, that we can actually do that. But sometimes it may end up folks not talking to each other. And I was just talking about LMS, it's just so many different options. And it's a lot, it's a lot. I was at a district where the two colleges using different course scheduling and curriculum development software. So you know what this will mean to our faculty, to our classified professionals, especially our students. That may be too much difference for us to think about, but things happen. I'm not trying to tell you something that I just make it up. I just made up. It's not. So those are things that we need to consider. We need to look at a balance. That's again what, going back to my last question is, we need to get everybody together to discuss or dialogue, to talk about, to share perspective, to look at the costs and benefits, to look at what's the best approach that we can find a way to agree upon moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wei. And yes, to clarify, that's economies of scale. I see it now.
Oh, okay.
I might have said economics. I just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll move on to our next question. So the next question asks, how do you envision supporting and connecting with faculty across the district at all three colleges?
Sure. Well, faculty are on the forefront, of course, serving our students. I just said we don't exist without our students. Our faculty are on the forefront, supporting our students. That includes instructional faculty, counseling faculty, and librarians, etc. And also nowadays, we have a new category of faculty working, especially focusing on instructional technology because of the vast distance education classes we're offering. So faculty are critically important for us talking about our core mission of supporting our students. So the question asked about really is, how do we get faculty together to find ways together we can better support our students, right?
How do you envision supporting and connecting with faculty across the district at all three colleges?
Yes. Thank you for clarifying. I'm trying to get. So it's important, knowing the importance of faculty and what they do to support our students. We need to ask our faculty what they need so that they can better support our students. What kind of support they need, whether it's funding, whether it's professional development, or to a degree, it's a compensation and benefits. We can talk through the collective bargaining venue to look into that as well. And what are resources they need so that they can make sure the curriculum that's offered to our students up to date. What are the links they need to make with the four-year institutions to help to provide smooth transfer for our students? What are the links that they need to make connections with business employers to help our students in career technical education programs to secure job opportunities? What are the things that we can provide our faculty so that we can look into work experience, competence-based education, those things that we talk about? We need to ask our faculty really what they need, and we need to let our faculty know how we can support them. And also, I think that's what I kind of, maybe I twisted the question into. That is, It's important for three college district, all faculty work together. Because what I've seen, even within a college, faculty in different disciplines or faculty focused on transfer or CT areas don't even work together. My experience has always been to bring everybody together so that we can find importance, because transfer program enhance, expand options for CT programs, and CT programs drive student enrollment for transfer programs, especially in general education areas. There are a lot of things that we can focus on, we can talk about. And also between and amongst the three different colleges, how can we work together so that we can provide the most comprehensive curriculum? RCC right now is the most comprehensive. The other colleges, they're still trying to be a comprehensive college, talking about their curriculum offerings. But how do we together making sure we offer as comprehensive curriculum as possible so that our students would not go to another district to take any classes, any programs? How we collaborate if one college cannot develop everything, how we collaborate to do that. Actually, from my own experience, I've done that collaborative online degree program. That's before the pandemic. Right now, the online class is just so pervasive, and we probably don't talk about that anymore. And we've collectively offered CT programs as well, not to require every college to develop every class, but collectively we can develop all the classes that's needed for especially those high-cost CT programs. There are ways for us to work together. So that's why I want to say, to have faculty within a college, between and amongst the college, to communicate, to work together, and also help our faculty to make links. That's spend a lot of time doing, help our faculty make links with 4 institutions. I've got a lot of UCCSU, especially connections. Help our faculty to make those connections, and also some employers. One summer, I can tell you, I linked one of my faculty to take summer internship at the National Renewable Energy Lab. He was so happy, although I was so afraid that he would not come back, because just for one summer, the pay he's got probably is almost over what his annual salary was then. So I was glad actually he came back. So let me just start here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wei. So we have a statement and then we have the question,
Okay.
okay? Apprenticeship is part of Vision 2030. RCC has robust apprenticeship programs in several pathways. Thinking of the districts and colleges that you have served at, the question is, how have you promoted developing, implementing, expanding, and maintaining apprenticeships programs?
Sure. I've got quite some experience in apprenticeship programs as well. Knowing, I think I talk about that. Sometimes we look at CT programs. We like to develop as many CT programs to get our students into high skill, high paying jobs. But sometimes it's hard because it's expensive. It's not only, because those are the programs you cannot just get a room and get some technology, the class is going. You need to have special rooms, equipment, facilities, lab technicians to support. You need to have funding because students use up things every class, a lot, by the way. If without those classes, all we worry about is talking about supplies is like drywall, eraser, and markers. But when you have a CT class going on, it's a lot more supplies that we're talking about. It's very expensive. And also, oftentimes, if we don't be careful for CT programs, we can be dated very, very quickly. We can be dated very quickly. It's not just talking about IT, those stuff, all different fields. We can be dated very quickly. So work experience-based learning opportunity for students is a very good approach, including apprenticeship. That's what I believe, and also a lot of folks I work with, they believe in. So I work with our faculty. Right now, I'm working at the big, actually, huge Central Valley apprenticeship network. That's probably one of the largest in the state right now. And also at one of my previous institutions at Cuyamaca, we developed a viticulture program that's apprenticeship-based, because only the lecture part, didactic part, is on campus. Everything else is happening at local wineries and vineyards and different employer sites. And some of students get paid, some of students that don't get paid, but definitely they all earn work experience. And talking about developing apprenticeship programs, I would say it's always to start thinking about what's needed. And to know what's needed, we need to get out to the communities. For myself, my own experience, attending local Chamber of Commerce meetings, looking at the business industry breakfast. And if I get invited, I even get into their own meetings to know what they care about, what they need. And grab those opportunities immediately go way time, a long time ago now. And that's back in the Bay Area, when Toyota and GM pulled out from the NUMMI site, Tesla went in. We immediately saw the opportunity. Although at that time, we don't offer Tesla, we don't offer any electric car programs that time, but we saw the opportunity. We talked to the union, we see how do we retrain those Toyota and GM employees to be able to work on electric cars. Those are all things that we need to look into. Being able to go out and listen to know what's needed and talk to folks and let them know this is what we can provide. Invite folks to come to see our facilities, meet with our faculty and classified professionals, and meet with our students. How they can tell you great stories. Our students do tell great stories, by the way. With that mutually beneficial visits and communications, they help us look into what are the things that we want to look into. And then we can talk about more details, like our automotive technology program. It's great. We talk with folks at Detroit, they're talking about they need more people well-trained. But then we move on to ask, we like to provide those training for you, but what can you give us? What can you promise? They ask what we ask for. They thought we were asking for equipment, donated cars, etc. We said, well, we want apprenticeship opportunities. That's what we're looking at. But we want opportunities for students to get into job before they graduate. But that tells me you really need workforce. You really need employees. But otherwise, we can ask employers what they need. They can tell you this and that, but they end up not hiring anyone. So, but if they can provide us work experience, apprenticeship programs, they are buying. They're fully buying, actually. You need someone because you have those job opportunities right there for students before they even graduate. We'll work with you. So those are kind of things. Sometimes don't just hear from things and just, well, I want your commitment so that we can together work. I think that's also one of the key talking about the apprenticeship program. Of course, from my own experience talking about apprenticeship program, there are a lot of logistics. There are a lot just in and outs I can talk about. I don't want to spend too much time. I just want to say, always follow up the conversations, hold everybody accountable, not just hold ourselves accountable, hold our partners accountable so that we can generate outcomes that's better serving our students. And if they take apprenticeship, they're getting employment. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wei. Our next question asks, what ways have you supported classified professionals in their involvement in shared or participatory governance?
Oh, good question. I thought there are no more. So I think classified participation is just as important. I think I was talking about our faculty are in the front here, talking about serving our students. But our classified professionals oftentimes play the roles that we may not even realize. I always remind our faculty also and other folks, when students need help, the first person they ask for help with is more likely to be a classified, because classified are more likely to wear uniform for the college and have name tag and badges. At least the colleges I work at. But I see some of you have name tags of RCC as well. That's a good thing. And also, if our student, by the way, drop out from a class, who they talk to first? Not their teacher, not their instructor. It's the financial aid office staff. But they want to know if I drop, what's the consequence with my money? Or if they complain, when students go to the division office to complain, they probably don't see the deans first, they see the dean's assistants first. Or the same thing for vice president and president if they want to do. So from that perspective, and also think about a lot of our classified, they've been completing their degrees and educational training in our own institutions as well. We have a lot of, we're so proud to hire a lot of our own graduates to be our own classified professionals. So they know all the ins and outs of this institution to a degree that I always actually talk to my student workers and actually, yeah, do a good job. Once you graduate, we'll hire you back because you already been trained for doing everything. I don't need to tell you everything about our learning management system, our actual people, whether it's PeopleSoft, DataTail, or what, all of those things. But their privilege may be different, but they know a lot of ins and outs already. So talking about how I will support classified to fully participate in the participatory shared governance processes, I can give you some of the things I've done. First is to make sure classified fully participate without worrying that once they leave their job, who is taking their responsibilities to help students or their fellow employees. I work with managers for that, to making sure the responsibility is covered. Second, I, by the way, chair and co-chair a lot of shared governance committees, because I'm very into that process. For the committees I chair, co-chair, I always make sure we take notes, we basically take turns, take notes. But oftentimes, the committees I was there, when we first started, it's always declassified, or the two classified employees are there taking notes. Although their regular job is taking notes. But when they are at the shared governance committee, they represent their constituent groups. They don't represent their job function. That's very important to recognize. And also at Crafton, for example, I helped them to institutionalize the 9+1. I think faculty all know about 10+1. If we don't know about 10+1, probably need to go back to do some reading. 9+1 for faculty, 10+1 for faculty, 9+1 for classified, 9+1 for students. How many of remember all those? It's in the same Article Title V regulations. And the only difference, by the way, for 10+1, 9+1 is grading, because classified don't grade, and students cannot grade themselves. When I was helping classified standard to implement that Chancellor Crafton, it was a big pushback, of course, from faculty standard to say, well, okay, well, everything is quite similar. And also, the tricky part is oftentimes at most of my districts, classified standard, they are authorized by CSEA. Classified standard cannot form without approval from CSEA. So when classified standard is emphasizing their 9+1, the CSEA also gets into some interesting rule. But we talk through, make sure everybody understands how classified participate and contribute, how classified voice is important, how we want to actually ensure every group is involved, engaged. By the way, difference between 10+1, 9+1, within the 10+1, faculty academic standard does have a little bit leg up, because academic standard can talk to the board directly, but with classified students, they do not really have all those rights within the 9+1. So we clarify all those differences. And to a degree, last example I want to give it to you is through my chairing, co-chairing the Student Success Committee. We changed that from by chair to tri-chair, a co-chair to tri-chair, so that we can have classified join us with me and one of my faculty, and also one of the classified to the tri-chair Student Success Committee. Because if you talk about student success, as I mentioned, not only faculty, not only administration, classified, they know a lot. They actually matter a lot. Thank you.
So I heard you mention 10+1.
Oh, sure.
So the question asks, what is your experience working with 10+1 committees like curriculum, where faculty have the rights and responsibilities for that work, but sometimes need administrative support and advocacy?
Sure. That's a very good question. By the way, we can talk a lot about curriculum side, because I was at different districts, where some district as the vice president, by default, I'm also the co-chair of the curriculum committee. But I was at some district that they don't even give the deans or vice president even a membership, official voting right on the curriculum committee. So it goes all different ways. And I've been working extensively with our crediting commission also, working with ACCJC. If you notice what ACCJC says, curriculum needs to be actually work together with faculty and administrators. Oftentimes, so we, especially from our faculty side, push back on that side, because faculty want to make sure in state of California, our faculty will take full control, because it's within 10+1 and academic professional matters. So that's why I think a lot of things we can look into different perspective, and a lot of things at different districts doing things differently. From my own experience, always, I know as a faculty member, what I like to see, I want to have full control of my own curriculum for sure. I want to be able to write, update, and revise my own curriculum. But at the same time, we all know we don't fully control our curriculum, because our curriculum is dependent on the four-year institutions, what they look for. And depending on the job market, employment requirements, talking about knowledge, skills, aptitudes that they're asking for. So our curriculum really need to meet all those things to get to where our students need to be. So from that perspective, it's very important to recognize those. So that's why I oftentimes mention, from that perspective, the participation voice from administration may be helpful, because they can bring some different voices, or sometimes we can get to not only the faculty in the discipline to write a curriculum. Actually, maybe some counselors or folks from different fields within the campus can provide some valuable input. So from that perspective, that's what my approach talking about what was recognize within 10+1, all faculty they're in the driving seat. But it does not mean we cannot provide help. It does not mean that we can have discussions and dialogues. Like to the degree, some district, they would ask the administrators and things, vice president to be on the committee and to be co-chairing the committee, because I think that's a very good approach. But also recognizing the deans and the vice president are not there to veto any of the faculty curriculum revision or curriculum development recommendations, but to initiate, to have a discussion, have a dialogue, and making sure the rules and regulations are being followed. When I was vice president, also co-chairing curriculum committee, by default, I was also on the technical review committee. I can tell you a lot of our faculty are not so used with the technical review process. So as a vice president, especially as me having been faculty, having the expensive experience working with faculty, let them know what matters or what matters in the form and how can we deal with this and that, how can we work through the process. And also oftentimes, if you're looking to CT programs, we do need to go through the regional process. So our CT deans are by default often definitely a member, but sometimes we will have faculty to join the meetings. Our CT deans would be a good voice to help advocate our curriculum. All those things we keep in mind. That's why I would say, recognizing faculty are in driving seat, we are here to help them. We're here to have dialogue discussions. Or we are here sometimes to remind folks that if you're putting too many prerequisites, that may be hindrance to our students. While we recognize from faculty perspective, from academic preparation perspective, so that's also, but that's expanding. I've been talking about curriculum, of course, but if you go beyond 10+1, talking about program, curriculum, not only program, curriculum, talking about accreditation, planning, resource allocation, all those things all within 10+1, it's all the same approach that we're looking at. As we know, within 10+1, depending on district and academic senate negotiations, what's primarily dependent upon or what's mutually agreed upon. We recognize if we agree to be primarily dependent upon our academic senate to make a decision, that's what we need to do. But at the same time, it allows us to have discussion and dialogues, to provide feedbacks, and also even invite students to have their voice, talking about planning, program development, curriculum update, talking about budget, talking about everything that's within 10+1. That's what we need to do together. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wei. So this is a two-part question. The first part is, what is it about the Deputy Chancellor position that interests you? And what do you see as RCC's greatest needs?
Sure. Well, what interesting about the Deputy Chancellor Provost position really, it's an opportunity to be at the district office level to advocate for the colleges, to advocate for faculty, classified professionals, and also administrators on campus to find ways to better support our students. And I've been working in multi-college district environment, and I've been into the district-wide executive council meetings. Oftentimes, when you have meetings with chancellor, vice chancellors, presidents, they're all focusing on their own areas, or they're focusing on their own college about the big topic areas. Key pieces about educational services, student support services, how to better support students, how do we making sure we work together. Some of those key pieces may be missing. As a deputy chancellor, as a provost, who's been really in the field, on the ground, working with everybody, like I said. I'm not working at RCC or NOC or Moreno Valley, but I know what's going on. I know how to support RCC, NOC or Moreno Valley. I've been very involved with our planning process and action item. I understand everything. How do we actually making sure I be a voice, especially from educational services and student support services perspective at the chancellor's office, the district chancellor's office meetings, executive level, to be an advocate for all those areas. That's very important. And also this role is important. It asks for someone who really with very comprehensive experience to be able to cover all different areas, bring folks from all different areas together to get to the same page. That's a big task. And like I said, I appreciate this opportunity because I've either worked in those areas or I have experience supervising the areas in terms of instruction, student services, technology, human resources, fiscal and facility resources. It takes someone with very comprehensive experience to find ways to be advocating and supporting the colleges. And also, it takes someone with deep experience and deep knowledge within our system, especially we all know ad code in California is just that big. Go to any other state, they can probably put at least 20 different states ad code together. It's not even as thick as our ad code. So it takes someone with that deep understanding. Because if you ask folks I work with, whether it's Senate's leadership and unions and their membership, what they will give you, the perspective of me is, I don't tell you that's in Title V or that's in ad code. I look for that before I really truly find it. Then I tell you it's in Title V ad code. Why it matters. And also, as I mentioned, it takes someone at that level as a deputy chancellor and provost to be able to not only know the rules and regulations, but also find ways that go beyond to look at what we can do with those boundaries constraints, or what we can do to make connections with the state chancellor's office, do things like that to make things happen for our students, for our programs. Those are the things I've been doing, and I've got some success, and also I've got some lessons, of course, when it's not been successful. And that's why it interests me to come to here with such a great district, with such a great college with long history of serving the communities. And also the second part is?
The second part was what do you see as RCC's, so Riverside City College's greatest needs?
Sure. I think actually right now RCC's greatest need is to look at connections, partnerships, resources to better support our students, be able to put in resources, whether you're looking at offering classes, program, and technology being a big topic for sure, especially when we talk about AI, look at better ways to support our students and also update our facilities. I respect RCC so much. To me, RCC is a benchmark for the state. But I give you a bad example. About 3 years ago, when there was some big rain and flood in this area. And the college I was at, we were so happy because our athletic fields were dry, but RCC fields were actually were in the water. So probably it's not a good example, a good attitude talking about. But that tells you one thing, that is, we do use RCC kind of as a benchmark. If we can be better than RCC, we are so glad. Probably it's not a good example, but tell you how other people are looking at RCC. So from that perspective, we want RCC to stay as a benchmark, as a standard. We want to find ways to support RCC, especially as we know, when we have an institution that's 110 years, actually 109 years right now, almost 110 years old. There's got to be this and that actual challenges. How do we find a way to support our RCC? And also very important, I think, for this question asking me for me to envision what's needed. I would say if I get honored to come as Deputy Chancellor Provost, the first thing I want to do is to come to ask what RCC needs. That's the most important. That's why I say, when we want to support our faculty, ask what our faculty needs. When we support our students, ask what they need. Support our classified, ask what they need. Don't just assume. Don't come here and thinking we know everything. Ask everybody. That's why I think it's very important for the Deputy Chancellor and Provost to be not staying in the district office, but actually be on the campuses very often. And if we have meetings, let's rotate on different sites. I know at the district level, we have board meetings happening on each campus, each year rotate. If for the Deputy Chancellor, Provost, if our meetings, we need to rotate more often. There shouldn't be any meetings at district office. I know for board meeting, probably makes more sense for them to be there. We may not have any a lot of resources to put in there. Also, it may interrupt our classes in the evenings, those kind of things. But for our meetings, whenever I lead any meetings to talk about things, especially if it's multi-college conversations, I want to make sure it's happening on multiple on the campus side, rotate. From that perspective, that's how we better know what RCC needs and what we can better support RCC to do what the college need to do. Because there are a lot of things talking about student learning, talking about enrollment, talking about student success. We are doing a good job, but are we up to the part that we would be totally satisfied? If we talk about equity gaps, are we closing the equity gaps to the degree that we would be happy with? Talking about a program, curriculum, facilities, a lot of things that we can talk about. Apprenticeship programs is great, but if we want to go beyond that, looking into more actually credit for prior learning, competency-based education, there are a lot more resources that RCC would need. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wei. We do have more questions. However, unfortunately, we're out of time.
Oh,
So at this time, we'd like to just invite you to give some concluding remarks in support of your candidacy.
well, sure. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry we didn't get into just through those questions. It's always work with limited time, of course. I want to first, in conclusion, I want to first thank you again. Thank you again for taking your precious time out on Thursday afternoon to join me, to listen to me. I want to really thank you because I just want to mention one thing, that if you do come to my meetings, you will not be listening to me for the entire hour. Because what my belief is, if someone is talking for the entire time during that meeting, that someone just needs to write a message, send out, we can just read. Meeting is for us to have discussion and dialogues. Meeting is not to listen. Meeting is not to be lectured. But I'm sorry for today because you don't get opportunities for that we can have back and forth conversations. But I again want to mention that it's a great honor to be considered to be your next Deputy Chancellor, Provost. I'm thrilled about this opportunity. I'm thrilled about being able to talk to you. That's why I want to thank our first level search committee. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Standing here as who I am, like I mentioned, a person of color coming from a low-income background, first-generation college student, speak English as second language. It's a truly honor to even be able to stand here, to be considered to be your next Deputy Chancellor and Provost. Like I said, it's like the academic position of academic institution. I truly value what RCCD has been focusing on, especially RCC, Riverside Community City College with over 100 years of history, been focusing on supporting our students, supporting our communities. We've done a good job. We've got good feedback from our communities. We need to find ways to better support our communities, support our students. And what I bring, if I get the honor to be hired as the Deputy Chancellor Provost, what I bring really is a commitment. The commitments on 5 different areas. The first area really is talking about students, always students first, student college enrollment, student success, and closing equity gaps amongst student achievements. And second commitment really is with our employees, making sure our employees can access the job opportunities that we offer, can stay here, talking about the employment retention, talking about our employee professional development and continuous promotion opportunities. That's my commitment. My third commitment really is about institutional success and health infrastructure to better support our faculty, classified professionals and administrators so that they can, in their best situation, in their best place to support our students. And the next commitment I will bring is something that I've been doing, of course, for all my current institutions and former institutions, is the commitment to focus on data and evidence, to have meaningful dialogues, to continue to assess the outcomes, to know we've been doing a good job or not. If we've been doing a good job, how can we replicate it, scale up? How can we tell the stories? How can we tell other folks that we've been doing a good job preparing our students to continue to get bachelor's degrees or get employment opportunities, and to talking about us doing a good job supporting the communities. That's what we need to do, focus on data, evidence, and outcomes. And the next commitment I will bring is really recognize that we support our students and communities, but everything cannot be done just by ourselves. We need to find partners into the communities, even beyond. They find a partner to support our students. We all know our students struggle with a lot of things that is not, oftentimes beyond our control, talking about what they struggle with: food, housing, transportation, childcare, health, mental health, financial challenges that they face. A lot of them we cannot provide by ourselves. But if we can find the right partners to help our students, that's the way to go. So things like that is important for us to look into. And even talking about student transfer, if CSU and UC tell us they are impacted, they don't have any seats for students, what can we do? Or if the employers, they can talk big time, actually, they can talk next year we need 50 students, need 50 new employees. But once we graduate our students, they don't get any jobs. I can give you one actually real example. One of my previous colleges, that's about solar panel installers. The folks told us, hey, we need a lot of solar panel installers. But once we graduate a class of 40 students, only 3 of them got employed. Because those business, they are kind of by contract, they call it gigs. They are by gigs. So they really don't want to hire people permanently. So when they talk about they need actually employees, yeah, they need for that particular project. Once the project is done, they don't have anything continuously. So they wouldn't really hire our students. They would need someone trained to do their jobs, but they don't want to hire them full-time with benefits, those kind of things. So all those things, that's why I say, we need to work together to making sure we work extensively into the communities through partnerships to make sure whatever we provide, it makes sense. It's meaningful for our students. And again, thank you so much for your time. It's really a pleasure to see all of you here. Thank you.
So thank you again for joining us today and for your thoughtful engagement during this forum. As a reminder, your feedback is essential for this process. If you haven't done so already, please complete the feedback forms with your impressions of the candidate. Your input will be carefully reviewed by the Chancellor as he conducts the final interviews. On behalf of the search committee and the Chancellor, I want to thank you again for your participation, and this concludes today's forum. Thank you.